Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the August DAC Monthly Webcast. I'm Jennifer Stafford, the Director in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support, and we welcome you today to our August webcast. We look forward to providing updated information as well as some good resources for you. But first, what we want to do is we want to extend our sympathies to our friends in Eastern Kentucky. We know that you are dealing with multiple fronts, and we are continuing to think about you. We've reached out to many of you to just check on you personally and support you professionally, and we'll continue to do so. So we want you to know that we are here and we're thinking about you, and we'll continue to do so. As we all get ready for back to school, many of our schools and districts have started within the last couple weeks. Many schools and districts started yesterday and more today, and we will continue to have more openings of school as we go through the next few weeks. So it's going to be an exciting year. It's an exciting time here for assessment and accountability because we are preparing for public release. We have several consultants here with us this morning to bring us updates and prepare and share information that will prepare us for the upcoming events. We'll start with Chris Williams, who has some reminders about the data review period this morning that opened. And many of you are already in there working because we're getting emails and questions about the data. So thanks to you all that got a jump start on that. So this is all, again, in preparation for the upcoming public release. After Chris, I'll be here to share a wonderful new resource for you around the new minimum end. It's changing from the previous accountability systems, and so we want to provide you some updates and some good information and clarify some misconceptions that are out there. Shara Savage will then be next with ACT updates and reminders, and Jason Howard will be here with alternate assessment updates. And we'll have questions and answers as well for that. If you have questions, please contact dacinfo@education.ky.gov. And we will get to as many of those as we can here on the broadcast. I will note also for us that testing has begun, actually screening. Lisa Jett and the kindergarten screener coordinators have begun screening, and we know that is going quite well to date also. So a lot, again, exciting time and a lot of good information. So I see Chris, and she is prepared and ready to go with our fall data review update. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Well, as Jennifer said, we're going to talk about some fall data review reminders for you, and be able to come to you. I'm just going to kind of reiterate some things that have already been sent out. So we do, and just kind of go over a few things with you, especially with those spreadsheets and things like that, go over some timelines, give you some resources to, just to remind you of the resources that we have. And just to start out is that we have sent out a special DAC email this morning on data review opening. And that, like I said, opened today at 9 a.m. It will close on the August the 19th at noon for new tickets. And what you're going to see is you're going to be able to go in and into SDRR, and you're going to see the demographics, of your students for their student listings, be able to make sure all of that information is correct. You also want to make sure that you've gone in and checked accountability. Make sure that, that if the students are accountable to you, that you have made sure of that. If they are not your students, not 100 days, that you do put them to the correct district. and make sure that you've run your 100-day reports so you know who your students are in Infinite Campus for your students. And then also you're also going to be able to file non-participations if you got students who, back in the spring that you did not file any non-participations for those students. And then you're going to see those, and like I said, this will be the last time to make any individual changes for data review before public reporting. Because remember, when we move to the next phase for quality control, that will start September 22nd. And keep in mind, these are all tentative timelines for fall reporting. You'll be able to get another set of spreadsheets because you also got spreadsheets this time. And so we just want to make sure that, and we'll talk about those spreadsheets that you're getting now. And then on the next few slides, and then also for the QC day, you will have a Google form that you will be filling out, and we'll be sending that information in an email to you with all the information about what you're going to do for quality control, because you'll have another set of spreadsheets. And you'll be able to see more information than what you see now. And then also you'll be able to, like I said, be able to download the Google form. It'll have the steps for you to follow to do QC day. And then for this particular part of it, you're only looking for big systemic issues. Is my you're looking for your demographic groups, making sure none of those are missing, because sometimes, when you're looking at the data, you may be missing all of your females or all of your, or some other type of demographic groups. Maybe your IEP students are not showing. And so you want to make sure that for that disability group that, that they are showing up, that all your students are showing up. If they're not, you want to, of course, that's not for individual changes. That's for big systemic issues if all of your students are not showing up. And there will be a discrepancy form that you will fill out if you find any big systemic issues. You'll be able to do that during the QC starting September 22nd. So be looking for more information to come out about QC Day and what's that going to look like. And then we're going to move to the next part is once that is finished, that's a day. Once that closes, then you will be able to go, we're going to go into what we call our media release and also embargo data release for public, before it's publicly released. So we, help you get prepared for the media, help you get, let you see the data, but remember that it's embargoed at this particular time. And that also that we do have the public release that will be coming to you in early October. And that's when all of your scores will be in the school report card. And you'll be able to see that particular, all of your data, like I said, publicly released. And then once that, your data is out there for the public, and you're able to see it in the school report card. Then what we have is what we call a 10-day regulatory data review after public release. And that allows you to go back into SDRR and make any individual changes, but keep in mind that is done after it's already publicly released. The data is publicly released. So we'll send information out for each one of these. And like I said, these are tentative timelines coming up. And so we're, like I said, we started our first one, so we're good to go for data review. And let's continue to talk about more about data review. Now, what you were supposed to do in the as a district assessment coordinator, because only our DACs can be able to go in and download the zip file, and there will be one zip file. You'll actually go in underneath the web applications login on the KDE website, underneath student data detail. And in the email this morning that was sent out for data review, it would have what the file name is. Of course, it's going to always start with, SD, 22, and it'll have your underscore, your district number, underscore your, data review. It'll have underscored your district name, etc. And then today's date. So you will see that particular zip file in there. And what you're going to do as a DAC, you would go underneath student, you would log into the web applications, download that zip file, and then you're going to see the set of folders. And underneath that set of folders, you're going to see your graduation rate. And with the first folder with graduation rate, you're going to see your cohort 4-year and 5-year. So you'll be able to see those graduation rates, and also by demographic groups for that. And you'll also see your students who, who are on time, graduating, and their rates as well in that particular spreadsheet. And then you'll move in to the next set of folders, which will be your student data. And underneath student data, you're going to see, you'll see underneath student data, you'll see first is your graduates. And that will be like, all of these will be your student listings for you for each of these that I have listed here. So we'll start out with graduates. You'll see your student listings, kind of like what you see when you log into SDRR, and you'll see that demographic information on your student listings. And like I said, you'll be able to see that for all of the information for your graduates. You'll be able to see, whether, their diploma types, whether they were on time, any non-participations that were, filed previously, for them will also be there. And then also if you, for this particular part in SDRR for cohort, that's going to be open for you to be able to, if you need to make any changes, for example, if you need to file any non-participations, we do have, a few non-participations for our graduates. And so you'll be able to go in and do that in SDRR, because the spreadsheets have the information for you all in one location, and how your students participated and all their demographics. And so for you to be able to go in and make any changes, you don't make them on the spreadsheets. You go into SDRR, into the application. And for our graduates, you would go in for cohort, and for 4-year and 5-year, you would go into the cohort one. It also tells you when the last time that file was downloaded for you, which was August the 5th. Is when that last, when we went into Infinite Campus, pulled a file to load into SDRR for you of changes. And you also wanted to make sure, back in July was the last time to go in for your summer graduates to put in your G codes for those students. And so you'll be able to see that information that you've got in Infinite Campus for your graduates on that student listing in SDRR. And also you'll see the student listing in the spreadsheet with all the information. And then there will be lots of fields for cohort that you will not be able to change on the screen. You have to go back to Infinite Campus and be able to do that. And then there will be a few things that you'll be able to do for cohort. Then we move into our next folder, next set of data, which is the post-secondary readiness. And you'll be able to see for post-secondary readiness, you'll be able to see all of your career data and your academic data for both post-secondary readiness. Now, just to let you know about that particular piece is when you get to the post-secondary readiness spreadsheet, that you will look at that particular spreadsheet and be able to see whether the students were able to meet that particular benchmark on the particular assessments that they met it on. And there are lots of different areas for post-secondary readiness for academic. And then even though you see the career information for you, because it'll go into the career data as well as, and of course, you'll be able to see your industry certs if a student had met that. Also, the end of the year for your what used to be COSA, and now it's the end of the year program. So for post-secondary readiness, you'll be able to see if the students met the benchmarks or not on that. And then if you're going to go into SDRR, and you will see by looking at your post-secondary readiness spreadsheet, you'll be able to see if you've got to make any changes to the demographics. You'll do underneath data review. And then you'll also, for post-secondary readiness, you'll see post-secondary readiness scores. And if you have a student who did not meet their benchmark and you have an official score report that shows that that student met that particular benchmark, then you can go into SDRR on the post-secondary readiness scores and be able to see, to upload that particular form to us, that report that shows that that student had met it. So all of that information is in there for your post-secondary readiness. That's for your, that's for high school. And then, like I said, your graduates are going to be for your high school as well. And then we'll move into our test. And when you click on the spreadsheet for test, you're going to be able to see the content areas, for both KSA, the Kentucky Summative Assessment, and also for the alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment. Also, you'll be able to see, what you'll be able to see for those areas is going to be just if the student attempted or not attempted, and you'll notice that you do have some blank fields for both, the performance levels. So, there will not be any performance levels there. There won't be any scale scores, on these particular spreadsheets. And you won't see any percentile scores as well. And so remember, this is just going to be at this particular point of time for our assessments, is that you're going to go in and check all the demographics for our students, and also if you need to file any non-participations for students at this time. Normally, you will usually see, NAPD scores. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Of why we don't see that particular information. And then we also, so like I said, you're not going to see, those NAPD scores for the content areas for underneath test. And then you will also have another tab that will have for your access. student listings. Now, these are all of our student listings. And so for access, what you're going to see is you're going to see your the students who, exited their overall composites, for that. You will also see their prior year scores and their current year scores for this year and what their prior year scores for the previous year. You'll be able to see that for both access and alternate access. You will also be able to see, did they, from our, tables for our English language proficiency, how much did they show, for that and what that particular piece is. And then the last thing you're going to see is the ACT, and you're going to see your ACT summary, and also your student listings for those. And for ACT, you're going to be able to see your results for, English, math and reading for the students who took the ACT. You will also be able to see all their demographics, and it will, let you know if they met the CPE benchmarks as well on those particular spreadsheets as well. So that's a lot of information on the spreadsheets. And then I just want to kind of say, how do I break this down if I'm an elementary and middle school person? What should I be focusing on? What spreadsheets? You should be focusing on the spreadsheets for the test, and also for because that'll have your content areas, and then also access spreadsheets in the zip file. If I'm a high school student, I'm going to have to focus on all the spreadsheets, because I'm going to have to look at my graduation rate for cohort for 4-year and 5-year. I'm also have to go in and look at, my student listings for my graduates, my post-secondary readiness, and also, my content areas and access. And then I'm also going to have to look at the ACT, both your summary and your student listings for your students. So high schools, you have a lot more to look at on those particular files. And then, like I said, once you look over those, if you need to, because a lot of our, district assessment coordinators and our building assessment coordinators and other people in the, on staff in the district have already went through back at, spring rosters and made a lot of, great changes during that particular time. So during this data review period, if you did a lot of work back in rosters, you should be in good shape when it comes to data review. There'd be less that you have to go in and do at this particular time. And so let's move in and let's talk about what's happening and why we don't have some scores in there for our content areas. Well, when you look at our KSA and AKSA, of course, that information will be coming in September for you, because remember, we had to have we've had to have multiple activities that went along with us for assessment and accountability this year. And so we had, our standard setting for our assessments. And then, we're also moving into September the 13th and 14th will be, for our accountability. And of course, due to those activities, you were not able to see your performance levels, for NAPD. And so those are being delayed until September. And, like I said, normally you would see that information because we had to do some standard setting and multiple activities this summer, that those will be coming to you in September. So you won't be, this time you will not see at any time during data review, you won't see your performance levels, your scale scores, or percentile scores at this time. So, we do apologize for that, but, than what we've delivered in the past. But, because of standard setting, we have to proceed and make sure that we get those particular cuts and those particular performance levels to you. And also, people have been asking, well, when can, we share this, with our teachers, for instructional purposes? Well, it'll have to be later that you'll be able to share that. Normally, we share that information in August, but we're going to have to wait and be able to share that information in September. So be looking for communications to come out to you when this information is available. And then also, you will definitely, hopefully be able to see, this information, in the next months coming, either through QC Day, etc. So just want to remind you of those particular things. And also another important thing is that we did put into the Monday, the special DAC email that went out this morning, that, this data is still, all of this information that is on your spreadsheets and et cetera, is all still embargo data. That, we don't share this out in public meetings or, and beyond, our leadership levels or our building assessment coordinators who may need, this information when they're working with SDRR. And you don't want to share anything out in email. And so, because like I said, it's all still embargo data. And we still have to go through, QC Day, and then also until it's publicly released in the school report card. So just want to remind you about that particular piece. And there's a link to the non-disclosure that you want to keep on file. You don't submit those to our office. That is not to be sent to Tammy Bradley, who usually gets our non-disclosures. So do not send any of that into our office. What you'll want to do is keep those on file in your district office for the ones who are looking at the data on the spreadsheet. Now, we do have some resources to assist you with the data review process. We also have lots of information for you for resources. First thing is that if that you always want to make sure that you have downloaded your student listings off of the out of SDRR. You could have done that for spring rosters, so that way you know what changes were made during that point of time, because those changes you should see now through data review for your students. And if you filed any medical non-participations or whatever, they would show as MED in there for your students who were not able to complete certain parts of the assessment or all the assessment. And then you'll also be, to get access to the spreadsheet into SDRR to do your work. You had to go through your WAPOC to be able, which is your district technology person. They are the ones who are going to give you those rights to SDRR, and make sure that you do have your WAPOC has given you rights to not only the student data detail that you're going to need to be able to download your spreadsheets as a DAC, as a district assessment coordinator, but also to get to the SDRR application to be able to submit any changes. And with data review, just keep in mind that when you're going in to your student listings, that you could go in and make those changes right on the screen. And then if you make any changes during this time in SDRR, that you always want to make sure that IC reflects that as well. But remember, for cohort, that will be a little bit different on some of the fields, because you have to make sure that cohort is that some of those you have to go back to IC to make those particular changes. And then, like I said, you will have not only the permissions to be able to get into it, but also on the SDRR page that is linked here, you'll be able to get to the data review PowerPoint and video. That was released in the Monday DAC email just this past week for you. And that will have lots of information and details for you. So hopefully that you've reviewed all of that before you start your data review process. Downloaded your student listings. Also, you're going to get to your spreadsheets to that. Underneath the web applications logon, that's the same place where you get into SDRR and to the spreadsheets. And then always, if you're looking at, you always want to look at accountability, but before you look at it for accountability, you always want to make sure that you looked over that 100-day tool that is underneath the I need help button in SDRR, because it's going to have a lot of information for you. In the announcements box, we'll have a lot of announcements for you in SDRR when you log in. It'll have also the link to this quiz, also to the 100-day tool, and to cohort resources. When you log into SDRR, you'll be able to see the I need help button on every screen. That will help you with your, with all the assessments. If you need to assess, any questions about those, will be underneath that I need help. And then also like I said, review the special DAC email that you got today. That has lots of information for you as well. And it kind of reiterates those particular resources for you. Also underneath the I need help is those step-by-step instructions about how do I go in and, when I get into my student listings and I find my students that I need to make some changes, how do I do that? Of course, the SDRR PowerPoint goes through that and the video, but also we have step-by-step instructions underneath the I need help button that will help you of how to, mark your accommodations, how to change your 100-day entity students, how to edit an open ticket, how to download and export, all of this information, your student listings, etc. And then also it requests any non-participations at that particular time. If you, all of this, if it is available to you to do off your student listings in SDRR. So you want to make sure that you do that. And then, like I said, all of that will be in multiple resources for you. And like I said, we're always available, if you have any questions, about any of this, don't hesitate to contact us. And then also with cohort, if you're looking for, hey, Chris, what withdrawal code should have, where is a listing of those so I know which one to put, for our students when it comes to 4-year and 5-year cohort, what should those have been? Those are all underneath the I need help button. And then also it has, your, calculations for you for cohort, and then also for graduation rate. And then don't forget, you also have the data review PowerPoint and video and the cohort tool that'll help you with your information with cohort. And then another thing is don't forget, that we do have lots of resources, like I said, on our KD website. The web pages are there for you as well. And then, like I said, the SDRR I need help button is what's going to assist you with, some more information if you need that for all of our assessments and et cetera that you're going to be working with, post-secondary readiness information, and also with all of our assessments that we have. That's within that. Also, one more resource for you is we're going to do a question and answer session for data review. That will be a Teams, through Teams. You'll be able to click on this particular link and be able to get to it. If you're not able to click, be able to get into the meeting, you can also join by phone and be able to ask your questions about just the functionality of SDRR, because you can't ask for a specific information on students because there will be other districts who may be joining. Just to kind of let you know that this is just a question and answer session. It is not a training session. So if you've got some questions about, the functionalities of, I'm having trouble with, changing some information on demographics or where to go find that, or if I need to file non-participations, if you need some assistance with that, you can log on here and we can kind of step you through those particular steps for you. But like I said, it's not a training session. It's just a Q&A session. So come with your questions on data review, and we'll be able to assist you during that time with any questions that you have about data review with SDRR, with the spreadsheets, etc. And we look forward to both Nathan Rome and David Curd and I will be on those particular sessions and be glad to assist you with data review. So Jennifer, I think I've said everything I possibly could tell you at this point.
Thank you, Chris. And that is a lot of information, but people may have questions. So let's see if Ben has any.
Yeah. Ben?
Hey everyone, I'm getting it to load up right now. It looks like we do not have any at this time concerning that. I do expect us to get some though, so if our audience has any, please do send them in and we will follow back around at the end today with Helen doing the Q&A at the end.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Chris.
And I'll be on here, Jennifer, so I'll turn it over now. Jennifer, it's all yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And let's talk now about the minimum N, because what Chris has just previewed for you, it impacts the minimum N because of the work that you're doing right now to review your student demographics, your accountability, 100-day, your participation. All that is leading up to reporting in the fall for spring 21-22 school year accountability. And so the minimum N impacts the accountability reporting, and we want to provide some guidance and directions like we haven't had in the past. Previously, we have had a system that had a minimum N of 10 per grade per content area. And so for district assessment coordinators and building assessment coordinators that were not involved with the accountability previously, this is a new system, and you're coming in at the perfect time to learn it because we're all learning it together. And the minimum is now changing to 30 students per level. So school level, think elementary, middle, and high school. The minimum N is required by the U.S. Department of Education to provide a minimum number of students in the school or a school band or in a student demographic group to be included in the calculations for accountability. So there are important reasons that we ask for you to review the student demographic data and the information around your students multiple times, because we want to get this right, and we want to accurately reflect your school and your performance within the school and district when we do get to public reporting. So the minimum in, what it does is there are lots of guidelines from the federal statutes and the regulations of FERPA. You've heard of that. And it's all to protect student privacy. So there's many reasons around putting forth a minimum in, and part of that is the validity and reliability of the assessments and what the number of students who are reliably in the counts to hold schools, districts, and the state accountable for those groups and those students. So in the development of the new accountability system, we worked with the Kentucky Board of Education, and I want to recall that it is during that time frame of November, December timeframe in 2020 when we discussed at length the minimum in with the Kentucky Board of Education. We were discussing the balance between inclusion of students in accountability and the reliability of including students within the accountability system. So they really had some really thoughtful discussions about the balance between inclusion and reliability. Now, a lot of that discussion stemmed around, could we have different minimum ends for different school levels? So could we have possibly different minimum in for elementary than we do for high school? And when we researched with the Department of Education, we found that the minimum in had to be consistent across all grade levels or school levels. So the minimum in for Kentucky's school accountability is 30 per level. So think elementary, middle, and high. So we've developed this resource, and we really want to give credit to Jenny Larkins, who was the forefront author of this, as well as the team across the support division and the data division, because they put a lot of time and effort into these examples and the definitions that are in this. So we hope that this document, the Understanding Kentucky's Minimum in School Accountability, is very helpful to you. It will spur more questions. We've already had specific questions come in with the release and review of this document. And we know that. And so we will respond to those questions because, again, this is a new system. This is the first time that we've used this type of minimum in, and we want to provide as much information as we can accurately and effectively. I do want to highlight for you, there was some misconceptions that we walked away with during the new DAC training. So I want to clarify that the minimum in is by indicator for each school level. So for the indicator, for example, if it's state assessment results in science, social studies, and math, or excuse me, science, social studies, and writing, if it's that indicator, then across that indicator, there has to be 30 students. So Jenny put a really good example in there in this document about the fact that it is by indicator, not by subject area. So I just wanted to clarify those statements and make sure that there's no misconceptions in that. So again, we want you to use this document. And if you have questions, you can send those to dacinfo@education.ky.gov, and we will continue to respond to those and provide additional information when needed. Let me now turn to Shara, and she has some updates about this opportunity for our seniors to take the fall ACT administration, and there she is. So Shara, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Good to be back with you. I did come with a few updates and clarifications today, so we'll get right into those. So as a reminder, this for the ACT, the fall ACT, as a reminder, this is an optional opportunity because we still have some confusion about this. So I wanted to come to you today and try to clarify. So this is an optional opportunity for Kentucky's public high school seniors. It is not mandatory. However, it is the expectation that every district and school offer this ACT Fall Senior Administration opportunity to its students. This Fall Senior Administration is a state-funded exam, and it is at no cost to the student. The Fall Administration will include any enrolled student in grade 12. So that includes any student newly enrolled in grade 12 may take this opportunity. Any senior who missed their opportunity to test last spring as a junior can test. Any student in the early graduation pathway, and they want to use this as their one-time free opportunity. Then, English learners, first-year English learners, homebound or hospitalized students have the opportunity, to test. Of course, certain medical conditions will determine how that is handled, but they are more than welcome to take this opportunity. Students who are exempt or who would not take this fall administration opportunity. Any student in the alternate assessment, because they have the opportunity to take the TAR instead. And then lastly, any student who does not wish to take part in this opportunity, they are exempt from this as well. So now let's talk about some deadlines and reminders. So August 26th is a key deadline to select test date and request or reassociate your accommodations. 8/31 is the deadline to complete site readiness. And remember, when it gets a little closer, you'll want to lock down those examinee workstations, and after the validation, to prevent automatic computer updates. And then we also have on September the 1st, the deadline to verify enrollment. And then lastly on these date reminders is September the 5th, the window to create online test sessions. It's not a deadline, that it opens September the 5th will be when you can get in there and start creating those test sessions for your students. Okay. And then we've had a lot of questions around select the test date task and verifying enrollment. So I wanted to bring to you today just a couple of best practices to maybe help you with your planning. So as a reminder, the select the test date task is a required step in PAN. Submitting the test date information is important because it verifies the initial standard test date, the initial accommodations test window start date, and the receipt, the materials receipt date. And then lastly, or if a school is not participating. So we would want you, because this is we've moved to online. So when you're in there doing that task, please select NA, not applicable, for paper time test date. Then you want to select a paper accommodations test window start date, and then your online test window start date. So here's a tip as a best practice, because there's many ways to do this, but I wanted to bring you at least one. If you are wanting to utilize both test windows, because remember in the fall you have flexibility with utilizing those test windows. So select the test date window as October the 4th if you're wanting to utilize both of them, because we've had several districts to indicate that they are going to be on fall break during that test window 1, but they wanted to test some of their seniors, go ahead and get some of that out of the way. So again, in this scenario, a district could select a standard time and accommodations online window of October 1, and then the paper accommodation date as October the 18th if you are planning to test your accommodations in that test window 2. And again, it's just as a reminder, with the fall, schools have that flexibility to utilize both windows to fit their fall schedule. And then moving on to verify enrollment. It is also a required step in PAN. Test coordinators will verify the students and make any necessary changes in PAN before August 26th. For the fall administration, leave students who may indicate, and so this is the best practice, it's not mandatory, but just looking ahead and trying to make things easier on you and some of your questions that you've had. Leave those students who may have indicated they are not testing in the PAN system as a best practice. As you promote and offer the fall senior administration to your students, some students may initially decline to test, but they go home and they talk with their parents or guardians, and they come back and while testing is happening and say, you know what, I changed my mind. So with online testing, if a student does decide to test at a later time, leaving all your eligible students in PAN, BACs or TCs can easily add them to a test session. So you can add students as needed using the enroll and unenroll request process in PAN, and that is outlined in the PAN user guide. And then lastly, here is a list of ACT office hours. ACT and KDE partnered together to bring you, once again, these office hours that you all have become to love and bring your questions and get those answered. So we are offering that again for this fall. And as we go along, don't worry, I will place reminders in the upcoming DAC communications. But all of these are scheduled for a Thursday, and all the times are Eastern Standard Time. And that concludes my portion of the DAC webcast. So I will stop, and if we have any questions.
We have one question, Shara.
Okay, great.
So this came from Janice Markham. If we choose the first window for the senior ACT retake, we can still test anyone who did not get to test during the first window or needs to do makeup testing during the second window, correct?
Yes, you sure can. Or you don't necessarily have to wait, to start that second window with the online testing. If they come in, because you can test Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each week. So, makeups can start during your initial test window. So, but you definitely can utilize both windows.
Okay. That's the only question we have for ACT at this time. So I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, that wraps it up for the ACT reminders. So we'll move on to Jason Howard, who will take it from here.
Hey, thank you, Shara. I have my updates are very quick, and I mean they will be very brief. And so we do have a new alternate assessment program calendar. This was sent out in the DAC email last week, and also sent out in an alternate email. But just in case you missed it, there is a link that is active in this in this PowerPoint. And some important things is that you will notice it has changed dramatically. In years past, it only had a few dates on there that were related directly to the AKSA. This year, one of the projects we did was we basically did an entire program calendar. So I worked with the Office of Career and Technical Education. We worked with our vendors. And so every date that is important for the alternate program, whether it be for the AKSA, the Transition Attainment Record, the CWEC, the ESAR, the Infinite Campus, or SRD or CRD, every single one of those dates is now embedded in the calendar. So every date important to the alternate program you can now find on that linked calendar. The other thing is that, we were getting reports back in last September and October, and they've continued pretty steadily that people are not receiving the AKSA emails as they are going out. And some of them have been on the email list for several years. I want to reassure you, we've not removed anyone from the list. It never fails that when I ask Tammy Bradley to check, the person is always still on the list. Apparently, there is a Gov delivery issue that is known to us. And if you experience this issue, like if you are personally watching and you are not getting the emails, or somebody in your district is not getting the emails that used to get them, please have them contact dacinfo@education.ky.gov, and we will walk you through how to get resubscribed to the email. It's something that you have to do. We went through the other day and tried to add someone ourselves, and it did not work. So it's something that it's actual steps that you have to take. And if you email DAC Info, they will send you to me, and I will assist you in getting through that process of resubscribing. And that is all I have. Are there any questions for the AKSA?
We don't have any questions at this time, Jason. Thanks.
Okay, then I will turn it over to, I guess, is Helen next? Or is it Jennifer?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Shara. Thank you again to Chris. Let me ask Ben, is there any questions about any of our topics for today? We've covered a lot of information. Okay.
We have gotten 4 more questions, I believe, about ACT, if I'm counting correctly here.
Okay,
so I can go
Shara?
ahead and we can take care of those.
Sure. What we got, Ben?
All right, I'll just go down the list here.
Sure.
Let's see. If we do not have any students that do not plan to test, do we still select a date in case they change their mind?
I would suggest that everyone select some test dates because yes, we could have students to change their mind, especially once that information gets home and to parents and guardians. And so just to be on the proactive side, yes, go ahead and select dates.
Okay. The next one is, when will we receive instructions on how to reauthorize or reassociate accommodations from last spring?
So that information is out there now. In the last Monday DAC email, there was some links to some trainings, and there is an accommodations webinar that was included in that will give you step-by-steps and resources to help you with that process.
Okay. And then this person says they are not going back to school now until at least September 19th because of the catastrophic flooding. Is the deadline to verify enrollment set in stone?
If that district will email me, I can assist them.
Okay. And then
forward that to me. I'll help her. I'll help that district.
Can do. And then the final question here, just verifying, is Shara saying that we cannot do paper ACT testing except for accommodated testing for the fall senior ACT. We are testing in test window 2.
So we have moved to all online testing for starting this fall. The only paper that we will have is where there is not an online equivalent to an online accommodation.
Okay. That is all the ACT questions we have at this time. We did receive something on post-secondary readiness, but we'll handle that since we didn't talk about that today internally and get that back out to that person.
Okay.
All right, Ben, thank you. And thanks, Shara. And just a reminder of we are transitioning to online with the paper, away from paper for the ACT, as well as all of our content areas to better prepare our students for their post-secondary experiences, whether they go on to the workplace or whether they go into post-secondary education. So it's a step and a measure that we are better preparing our students for the world that they are entering. So Ben, let me pause one more time to see if we have any other questions.
Sure, let me look one more time in our inbox and I will let you know. We do not have any more at this time.
All right, thank you. And thanks to each of you for being a part of our DAC Webcast. We appreciate your time and attention, and we wish you the best of luck as you start a new school year. And as always, please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you. We'll see you next time.